Many introverts dread socializing as it often involves small talks, shallow exchange, and the overall feeling of uselessness and wasted time. But socializing can be different. It can boost self-esteem, give a very wonderful feeling of belonging, and even promote longevity. And as someone who still has a few struggles with socializing, I can tell for sure that even the most hardcore loners need more or less regular social experiences. And in today's video, I'll share with you some very important do's and don'ts for introverts in an extroverted world, how to actually benefit from socializing and enjoy being around other people. Because after all, it is built in our human nature. This list is based on my own experience and on stories from fellow introverts, but you can also use these tips even if you're not an introvert, but you have experienced a serious emotional burnout, or you went through some very intense changes or losses and now finally feel like you are ready to be around people again. By the way, there are no 100% introverts and 100% extroverts. Our tendencies can change even throughout one single day. For example, I noticed that I can be an extrovert for like 2 hours and then get back to my very introverted universe. And if you still doubt on which end of the scale you are, if you're more extroverted or introverted, ask yourself one simple question. When you feel tired, do you seek company or you prefer to be on your own? So it's very simple question, but usually the result is pretty accurate, the answer. And if you're not tired and you feel extra energy to spend on being around people, here are some tips how to enjoy this time without any extra stress. Do choose small groups over bigger crowds. In a smaller circle of people, you will feel safer and more relaxed to interact, and even if those people are not familiar to you, they're complete strangers, it will take much less time to get to know each other and start some meaningful conversations and discussions. Sometimes just the fact of going out instead of staying at home once again is already a huge step forward, and choosing a small crowd over a big crowd makes this challenge much more manageable. But if you happen to visit a bigger event, just make sure not to go there alone. Take someone with you, a friend, a partner, anyone who you trust and who knows well your introverted nature. Do choose meetings with shared activities. When you get to do something together with other people, it makes it so much easier to enjoy their company and to rediscover the joy of socialization. There are so many options to choose from, such as art sessions, book clubs, team sport, cooking classes. There are tons of variants. Thanks to a shared activity, the emotional discomfort that is so very familiar to every introvert goes away much faster. In my recent Patreon video, I share my own experience of socialization in more detail, how I overcame fear and which important insights I got. And if you're interested, the link to the Patreon community will be down below. There I post more personal videos, and it's a very warm and safe circle of friends. Do prepare and calm yourself down before socializing. In the modern extroverted world, everyone is supposed to be an avid speaker, a very easygoing person with a ton of contacts, but not everyone of us is like that. I'm not, and I personally have to mentally and sometimes even physically prepare for every socializing occasion. The best advice that I can give you is to imagine the best and the worst possible outcome. Thus, you will be more or less prepared to what potentially can happen, but as the experience shows, mine and other people's experience, the outcome is much more often a pleasant than a challenging one. Also, before attending some social events where you will be supposed to talk to other people, it's often helpful to think about the topics of future conversations and also to choose your look thoroughly. I always make sure that I wear clothes that make me feel very comfortable and very safe. Thanks to such tricks, I feel more relaxed being around other people, and I'm not gonna lie, there are situations where I have to take some natural calming remedies before going out, such as chamomile tea or valerian root or motherwort. So sometimes I just cannot do without them. Use your proven ways to reduce stress, because it is stress that will make you more focused on yourself and thus feeling isolated and lonely in the crowd. Don't lock yourself up in negative self-judgment. Introverts are more prone to negative self-talk and imagining themselves as those awkward and very shy persons. Try to break the rigidity of your self-portrait. Socialization doesn't have to always flow smoothly. It can have bumps just like any other experience in our life. Try to mute the inner critic inside, mumbling something like, "Oh, I shouldn't have come, I feel so awkward, these people are not interested in me, I don't belong here, I won't become a full-featured member of this company," or anything like that. Negative self-talk leads to limited thinking, and the more you tell yourself that you cannot do something, the more you believe it. Try to stay neutral in your judgment and always remember that thoughts are not facts. And what personally helps me to stop the avalanche of social anxiety and negative self-talk is to stop, to see and acknowledge the reality around me and to see myself in that reality like an object. I know it's kind of primitive and simple, but this trick helps me a lot. Don't feel obliged to talk all the time. Socializing doesn't mean that you have to suddenly turn into a chatterbox, and some people are prone to nervous talking. When they feel uncomfortable, they begin to talk a lot and then feel even more uncomfortable. I am not a huge talker, but I love to listen and to ask questions, and I found that it's the best way to get to know other people without any extra stress. Just let people speak and be an active listener. Allow yourself to be curious, because people have so many amazing stories to share. Do pay attention to your body language. As socialization can be a very intense experience for introverts, they tend to subconsciously show signs with their body that they don't want to be approached. And they are not approached. And then comes the feeling of loneliness and isolation, and introverts don't want to go anywhere else ever again. This can become a vicious circle, unfortunately. Just try to observe how you present, how you carry your body, being around other people. It involves eye contact and legs and arms position and also the posture. I've learned how to maintain a very good eye contact and I enjoy it a lot now, but I still struggle with my legs and arms situation, and on many occasions I subconsciously try to squeeze myself into little balls like this. And of course it's not a good thing to do around people if you want to socialize. Don't be afraid to stand out. A lot of introverts prefer conformism because they just want to be left alone. We tend to avoid disputes and arguments because they cause very intense inner discomfort and can be even detrimental to our mental health. But the thing is that if you stand out, it doesn't mean that you will be attacked or judged right away. And that said, do feel free to leave whenever you want to. Moreover, when you just get ready to go to a social event and you're not already there, keep reminding yourself that you are free to leave whenever you want to. This intention gives a lot of comfort and also encouragement, surprisingly, just to go out and be around people. I think a lot of introverts are very much afraid to be locked up in uncomfortable situations, and that's why it's so important to allow yourself to leave whenever you have to. And honestly, there were quite many situations when I had to use fake excuse to leave, and I didn't feel guilty about that. Don't be ashamed of your struggles with social interactions. Introverts live through everything inside deeply and intensely, and it can be very overwhelming for us. So, socialization is not an easy, breezy thing, and the struggle is real here. That's why whenever you feel so much overwhelmed about socializing and about some negative or even positive outcomes of your social time, just try to find someone who you trust to confide in them, and if you prefer to keep everything to yourself, just write it down. In my previous video on this channel, I talk about the benefits of writing practice in more detail, and if you haven't watched that video, I will link it up there, so check it out if you're interested. It has been told so many times by so many people that being an introvert is not a drawback of one's personality. It's just the way one interacts with the world. But unfortunately, today there is more and more spreading opinion that it's fine and even beneficial to live in isolation, to declutter friends and people overall, and I strongly disagree with that. Although introverts need much less social interaction, it doesn't mean that we don't need it at all. Being a human is a very exciting and on many occasions a very beautiful experience, and being around other people is an integral part of this experience. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below, but please be respectful and kind. Thank you so much for your time and attention, dear friends, and huge thanks to everyone who supports my work on different tipping platforms and on Patreon, where I post more personal videos every week. Thanks to your support, this channel exists. And for now, as always, be safe and keep your heart open, and I will see you soon. Пока-пока.